Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the jury. So recently I've been getting a lot of national attention because I represent clients all across the country in the RoundUp litigation. And I guess it just comes with the territory, but as a result of all this attention that my clients and this docket has been getting recently, I've been receiving a whole lot of mean and misguided comments on my Facebook page, so I thought I'd make an interesting video and react to them with you. Let's just start straight with the personal attacks. Here we have a comment that says, "Today a mother weeps because her son grew up to become an attorney." I actually asked my mom to comment on this comment, and so let's take a look. Mom, what do you have to say? Yeah, so joke's on you. My mom loves me. Okay, next comment. This one says, "I checked who did the science research on this, a company called Science Direct. This is a company that looks at scientific papers not related to this case, is one they have cited, which reports siestas, I guess naps, may cause health problems. Obviously, this is valuable and conclusive research." So I'm not sure who Science Direct is, but this lawsuit is actually based on decades of research and decades of independent studies. And here's actually a graph, a meta-analysis graph of all the studies conducted over decades, determining whether or not exposure to Roundup or glyphosate, which is a main chemical in Roundup, is directly related to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And as you can see from this graph, the mean of all this data is actually about 1.4, meaning people who are exposed to Roundup are 140% more likely to develop non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So this next comment says, "Surely that the group of folks with high exposure for longer periods of time should show an overall increase in cancers. They don't." Okay, this is actually a argument that Monsanto uses a lot and Monsanto supporters use a lot, and it's actually wrong. In the late 1990s, the world's leading genotox expert, a guy by the name of Dr. James Perry, submits 2 comprehensive reports to Monsanto, letting them know that, hey, all the science that is out there right now indicates that this is a strong possibility, meaning that there is a dose-dependent relationship between glyphosate and developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And what does Monsanto do? Here are actual memos from Monsanto. They say the following, quote unquote, "We simply aren't going to do the studies Perry suggests," meaning they don't want to open themselves up to additional liability. And also, on top of that, Monsanto admits to have not submitted Dr. Perry's internal report to the EPA. Okay, this next comment, "This so-called recall is a tissue of lies." So unfortunately, there is not a recall. You can still find Roundup on the shelves of every Home Depot or Lowe's or Walmart in the country. And that's a damn shame because it is an extremely dangerous product and the science supports that. And I'm trying my best to do everything I can to make it so expensive that Monsanto has no other choice but to recall it, or at least put a warning label on it so people can make a choice for themselves whether or not to potentially risk developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay, let's get into a really mean one now. "Blood-sucking, ambulance-chasing, parasite scumbag lawyers, you're evil and despicable. You prey on the sick and dying for money. You manipulate scientifically ignorant juries that you and your venom media have schooled to hate corporations, no reputable science links, Roundup, and cancer. You filthy maggot fucks. I hope you all rot in hell." And of course, he links the article from the American Council on Science and Health. And let me just tell you about the ACSH. The ACSH is a pro-industry nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that has come out in scientific support of chemicals such as DDT, asbestos, and Agent Orange in the past, saying that these products were safe. And now it's saying the exact same thing for Monsanto. Yeah, so the ACSH is just a hired gun to produce pro-Monsanto propaganda, but don't take my word for it. Let's take Monsanto's word for it. Let's look at an internal memo from Monsanto dated February 23rd, 2015. And just to give you some context, this is a memo with respect to the pending decision that will be made by IARC. And for those of you who don't know what IARC is, it is the world's leading independent authority on cancer research. So IARC is studying glyphosate, and Monsanto knows that they're going to come out and say that glyphosate is carcinogenic because Monsanto has known glyphosate is carcinogenic. So we have a memo dated February 23rd, 2015, and this is what they're going to do when IARC releases their decision in 3 weeks, which again, they didn't know for sure what the decision was going to be, which tells you that they knew of the data. And let me just read it to you. It says, point 4, orchestrate outcry with the IARC decision. Industry conducts robust media and social media outreach on the process and outcome. Sense About Science leads industry response and provides a platform for IARC, observes an industry spokesperson. CLI and other associations issue press releases. Joint Glyphosate Task Force publishes press releases. The letters signed by the leaders of each manufacturer in North America and Europe push opinion leaders to key daily newspapers on the day IARC ruling with assistance of the Potomac Group. Monsanto responds with strong reactive statement. Distribute video and responses to IARC. Address media inquiries with companies on the glyphosate spokesperson. Yeah, so it was their job to orchestrate outcry and produce this fake science. But let's keep looking at more examples of this. Okay, let's look at this comment specifically. I want to focus on point 3. It says, the chair of the only regulatory body to ever suggest that glyphosate caused cancer, which is IARC, as opposed to the dozens around the world who concluded that it doesn't, that's fake, admitted that he deliberately excluded a paper that showed glyphosate does not cause cancer. He was, by the way, the only lead authors of the paper. Alright, so I think what he's talking about is the famous Williams paper, and let me tell you a little bit about the Williams paper. So remember Dr. James Perry that I told you about that told Monsanto that, hey, this stuff might actually be really bad for people? Well, instead of just continuing to pay for Dr. Perry's tests to find out one way or the other, Monsanto just decides to ghostwrite articles to suggest that glyphosate is not carcinogenic. So what they do is they ghostwrite a paper which is famous. It's called the Williams paper because Williams is the author who Monsanto, Dr. Hayden from Monsanto, paid to publish his own paper. And again, you don't have to take my word for it. Here's some internal memos. Okay, so here's a memo from Dr. William Hayden where he admits to ghostwriting. I'm just going to skip to the most important part, starting with a less expensive. All right, here I go. A less expensive, more palatable approach might be to involve experts only for the areas of contention, epidemiology, and possibly MOA, depending on what comes out of the IARC meeting, and we ghostwrite the exposure talks and genotox sections, an opinion to add and cure to have their names on the publication, but we would be keeping the cost down by doing all the writing, and they would just edit and sign their names. Recall this is how we handled the Williams, Crow, and Manuro 2000 paper, or the Williams paper. So yeah, when a paper is excluded because it was ghost written by the corporation itself and actually has no scientific backing behind it, yeah, I can see why it was excluded. Okay, here we have a study of glyphosate. Oh, Quevla. Okay, so let's meet the author of this study that this guy is quoting. Meet John Quevla. He is a Monsanto employee. He's one of the product leads for RoundUp and has been for decades. And I just want to take you through some memos that we have on John Quevla to show that he is just a biased Monsanto propaganda machine. Okay, so here we have a memo from the early 2000s from Dr. John Quevla to Dr. Donna Farmer. And Dr. Donna Farmer is Monsanto's product lead for RoundUp. And it's about all the studies that have just come out with respect to linking glyphosate exposure to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So let's take a look at it. Let's read. The McDuffie articles appeared in the November issue of the Journal of Cancer Epidemiology, Biomarkers, and Prevention. See abstract below. Unlike the abstract presented at the International Society of Environmental Epidemiology meeting August 1999, glyphosate is no longer mentioned as a risk factor in the abstract. Not in the paper, but just in the abstract. I'll have to go get the article and see what it says in the small print. And I just want to make something clear. The article says that glyphosate is carcinogenic. It just doesn't say it in the abstract, meaning it would be harder to find. And in response to this, Dr. Farmer says, John, I know we don't know yet what it says in the small print, meaning the actual article, but the fact that glyphosate is no longer mentioned in the abstract is a huge step forward. It removes it from being picked up by abstract searches. So they don't really care about the science, they just care about it not being found. Okay, and let's look at another memo by Dr. John Quevla. This one is dated September 2nd, 2003, and this one includes not only Dr. Farmer, who is the head of the RoundUp team, but also Dr. Hayden, who is the one who ghostwrote the Williams paper, the one that said glyphosate is not carcinogenic. And it says, and it's about, oh, and by the way, it's about another study that has come out that has linked glyphosate to non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And it says, I'm afraid this could add more fuel to the fire for the Hardell et al. Study. It looks like non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and other lymphomatic cancers continue to be a main cancer epidemiology issue for both glyphosate and Alkalor. We're assembling a panel of experts to work on this. Do you think he means work on it in the sense of testing it out? Or do you think he means working on it in the sense of just disputing it? I would bet it's the latter, but hey, I'm sure this guy's biased. I just bought another gallon, great stuff. We're good. Just because you're exposed to it doesn't mean that you will develop non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. It just increases your chances by about 140%. But yeah, I'm sure it's a great weed killer, but that's not what this lawsuit's about. Oh, okay, so these are some of my favorite comments. Let's all jump on the free money train and sue every company that makes any product. We can all get rich. No, you can't. You can't do that. You see, this specific suit is about people who have developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma from their exposure to Roundup. There's over 60 herbicides that have been proven to be safe, but Monsanto has known that Roundup causes non-Hodgkin's lymphoma for decades, and they have suppressed this information and purposely spread misinformation like what I've shown. And on top of that, if you ask any of the clients who I represent, would they rather have money or their health or loved ones back who might have died from non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? They would all pick the latter. So this isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. This is just people trying to achieve justice. And unfortunately, nobody can go to jail at the end of this trial, which is a damn shame. But the only justice the law provides is money. So what would you do if you were poisoned by a corporation who knew that this shit was dangerous? Well, those are my thoughts. If Monsanto was broke, would there be any lawsuit? No, there wouldn't. And I'm not ashamed to say that, but that's not the case, and that's not the correct question to ask. The real question to ask is, if Monsanto was broke and people were still being exposed to Roundup, would people still be developing cancer? And the answer to that question is yes, they would. So what are we supposed to do? Again, the only remedy the law provides is money. So are we supposed to just let Monsanto go? Or are we supposed to say, hey, listen, not only can you kill us and poison our people, but also become enriched by doing it? And of course, we're going to end this video with the most prevalent comment that's out there, the ambulance chaser, vulture, blood-sucking attorney comments. Let's go through a couple of them. Ambulance chasing ambulances ain't it fun? Another digital ambulance chaser. Bottom feeding sack of crap. Another ambulance chaser. Lawyers are the cancer to this country. Ambulance chasing bottom feeders. Pure BS and trolling lawyers trying to steal from society. Roundup should be suing all the ambulance chasers. I would love that. Please, Monsanto, sue me, because truth is an absolute defense. So come on, bring it. How many ambulance chasers does it take to make a lawsuit? So many ambulance chasers are going to join the swirling vultures. Nothing much lower than an ambulance chasing lawyer. Oh, this guy put a picture. So, how many lawyer vultures are there out there hoping to make money from others' misfortunes? And to be totally honest with you, these ambulance chaser comments always kind of get to me, as if what I'm about is shameful, or what my profession is about is shameful, or even worse, what my clients are about is shameful. And I just don't know really how to respond to this. I don't know how many times I can say it. The only justice the law provides is in the form of money. Monsanto has basically given my clients a death sentence by way of poison. Had they done this with a gun or club, we would call it murder, but they didn't. They did it with a poison. They did it with a product that is still on the shelves of every Home Depot and Walmart in this country because they have deliberately spread misinformation about its safety. They did it with poison that kids being born right now are going to grow up, be exposed to, and die from, unless we as a society do something right now, unless we as a society make it so expensive for Monsanto to kill innocent people that they just stop, or at least provide a warning to give people the responsible choice whether or not to subject themselves to that risk. And yet, we're the cancer to society, not the literal corporation who is giving society cancer. I go to bed every night just fine. I fight for justice. And I'm not ashamed to say I'm trying to make a living out of it. If anybody needs that record to be set straight, the answer is yes. I am trying to make a living off of this. But I don't know. I don't think what I do is shameful. I think what they did is shameful. That's it. I rest my case.